3.5 million of them were built. 500,000 are still running right now. Not in museums, not on display stands behind velvet ropes at county fairs, in fishing boats off the Gulf Coast, in fire trucks answering calls at 2 in the morning, in farm equipment dragging loads across fields that have not changed owners in 4 generations. These 5 American diesel engines were so loud that the federal government wrote laws to silence them. Noise ordinances, emission mandates, consent decrees backed by $83.4 million in penalties. Every one of those laws worked. The engines went out of production. The factories closed the lines. The corporate successors moved on to quieter, computer-controlled replacements. And yet, right now, in every state in this country, someone is starting one of these engines. The sound carries for blocks. The neighbors know exactly what it is. The question is, why? Not why the engines were loud, why they are still running after every law, every regulation, and every corporate decision tried to make them stop. If you have ever owned one of these engines, or worked on one, or just heard one idle at a loading dock before sunrise, tell us which one in the comments. Subscribe to American Motor Files. We are building the archive of the machines the industry tried to bury. The first engine on this list does not need an introduction. It needs a warning label. In 1938, the General Motors diesel division put a new engine into production at a plant in Detroit, Michigan. 6 cylinders, 71 cubic inches per cylinder, 426 cubic inches total. A 2-stroke design, meaning it fires every single revolution of the crankshaft, not every other revolution like a standard 4-stroke. That firing cycle is the reason this engine screams. A 4-stroke diesel fires 3 times per second at idle. The Detroit 671 fires 6 times per second at the same RPM. At full throttle, the difference doubles again. The exhaust note is not a rumble. It is a continuous, high-pitched shriek that truckers in the 1950s and the 1960s called the Screaming Jimmy. The Jimmy came from General Motors. The screaming came from the Roots-type blower bolted to the side of the block. The 671 has no intake valves. Air enters through ports cut directly into the cylinder walls. The Roots blower, a positive displacement pump with 2 spinning rotors, forces air through those ports under pressure. That blower whine, layered on top of the 2-stroke exhaust bark, produces a sound unlike any other diesel engine on Earth. And it powered everything. City buses in New York, tow trucks in San Francisco, landing crafts storming beaches on D-Day, Valentine tanks grinding through North African sand, generators screaming at county fairs while children lined up for rides, tugboats pushing barges down the Mississippi at 3 knots against the current. The 671 started production at 120 horsepower. By the end of its run, turbocharged and intercooled versions reached nearly 500. A single engine design spanned that entire range without a fundamental change to the block. The same bore, the same stroke, the same ports in the cylinder wall, the same Roots blower forcing air through them. At one point, you could not walk through a single American downtown without hearing a screaming Jimmy somewhere within 3 blocks. Truckers who drove them for decades report permanent hearing loss. One mechanic described the sound of a 12V71 at full load on a dynamometer as the moment his heart rate matched the firing order. Then, in 1972, Congress passed the Noise Control Act. EPA Administrator William Ruckelshaus said the new law gave the government authority to address an environmental problem affecting millions of people. The first federal truck noise standards took effect in 1978. New trucks over 10,000 pounds could not exceed 80 decibels at 15 meters during acceleration. 80 decibels is a vacuum cleaner running in the next room. A Detroit 671 at full load with the Roots blower howling through open ports and the 2-stroke exhaust hammering twice per revolution does not belong in the same sentence as a vacuum cleaner. Drivers on forums describe it as a circular saw cutting steel inside a concrete tunnel. In 1982, the Reagan administration defunded the EPA Office of Noise Abatement and Control. The Noise Control Act was never repealed. It remains federal law today. but enforcement shifted to state and local governments, creating a patchwork of hundreds of municipal noise ordinances, each with its own decibel limits, its own fines, and its own posted signs. The same two-stroke cycle that made the 671 powerful also made it impossible to clean up for emissions. Two-stroke diesels burn oil by design. They consume fuel less efficiently than four-strokes at partial load. By the late 1980s, the emissions math was terminal. Detroit Diesel discontinued the 71 series in the summer of 1995. 57 years of continuous production ended not by mechanical failure, but by federal regulation. The second engine on this list took the same two-stroke architecture and pushed it further. The Detroit Diesel 8 V92 displaced 736 cubic inches across 8 cylinders in a V configuration, 92 cubic inches per cylinder. Turbocharged versions produced over 500 horsepower from a block compact enough to fit where inline sixes could not. The V8 firing order was so dense that the exhaust note blurred into a continuous metallic scream, higher pitched and more aggressive than any inline 71 series engine. Its last permanent homes were fire departments and marine vessels. An 8V92 in an Oshkosh airport crash truck, rear-mounted on a straight pipe with no muffler restriction, triggered car alarms on both sides of a residential street during emergency response. Emergency vehicles were exempt from local noise ordinances. The 8V92 survived there because it was the last application the regulations could not reach. The third entry is not an engine. It is the loudest single device ever attached to one. In August of 1931, a man named Clessie Lyle Cummins drove a diesel-powered truck westbound across the United States. On the fifth day, he reached the top of Cajon Pass in California. 35 miles of steep gravel road dropped towards San Bernardino. The brakes overheated within the first 10 miles. Cummins could not downshift fast enough to slow the truck with engine compression alone. A freight train crossed the road ahead. The truck cleared the back of the train by inches. Clessie Cummins was the founder of Cummins Engine Company. He spent the next 24 years thinking about that descent. In 1955, retired and working from a lathe in his California home, he designed a compression-release engine brake. The device turns a diesel engine into an air compressor. It opens the exhaust valves at the top of the compression stroke, releasing the pressurized air instead of allowing it to push the piston back down. The engine resists rotation. The truck slows without touching the wheel brakes. He offered the invention to Cummins Engine Company, the company he founded in 1919 and named after himself. The company that by then was selling engines into every Class 8 truck on the American highway. They reviewed it and passed. The leadership at the time considered the commercial risk too high for a braking accessory. A company called Jacobs Manufacturing, based in Bloomfield, Connecticut, best known for making drill chucks, said yes in December 1959. Clessie's nephew had been dating the daughter of a Jacobs vice president. That is how the most important safety device in American trucking history found its manufacturer. The first production Jake brakes shipped in 1961 for the Cummins NH series, followed by the Detroit 71 series. Jacobs Vehicle Systems reports that over 10 million units have been produced since. The Jake brake extends brake pad and drum life by 2 to 3 times. The sound an unmuffled Jake brake makes when an 80,000-pound truck engages it on a 6% downgrade exceeds 100 decibels. That is louder than a jackhammer at 3 feet. Hundreds of cities across America have banned it. Not the unmuffled exhaust, the brake itself. No engine braking signs line residential streets near highway grades from North Carolina to California. Fines range from $50 to $500. In Chesterfield, Missouri, the penalty is a $500 fine and up to 90 days in jail for using a safety device. Which detail is harder to accept? That a safety device invented because a man almost died on a mountain pass is now punishable by jail time, or that the company the inventor founded rejected it and took 63 years to buy it back? Cummins Incorporated acquired Jacobs Vehicle Systems in 2022. The original patent now sits in a glass case at the Cummins Heritage Center in Columbus, Indiana. The fourth engine on this list is the reason Cummins owned 63% of the Class 8 truck market by 1983. The Cummins 855 Big Cam, 855 cubic inches, a 2.5-inch camshaft, larger than any competitor, driving a pressure-time mechanical injection system that a truck owner could adjust with a screwdriver and a timing light. No computer, no electronic control module, no wiring harness connecting the fuel system to a sensor network. The PT injection system meters fuel by pressure and engine speed alone. A mechanic with a service manual and a set of hand tools can rebuild the entire fuel delivery system in a parking lot. The Big Cam earned a reputation for 700,000-mile overhaul intervals. Many went well past 1 million without major work. By 1983, Cummins had grown its share of the Class 8 truck market from 29% in 1975 to 63%. The 855 Big Cam was the primary reason. It powered Peterbilts, Kenworths, and Freightliners across every interstate in America from 1976 to 1990. It also ran in John Deere tractors, Caterpillar graders, marine trawlers, and military generator sets. A driver who understood the PT fuel system could hear the injection timing shift at altitude and correct it before the next fuel stop. The mechanical injection responds to ambient air pressure. A driver crossing a mountain pass could detect the change in combustion sound and adjust the fuel rate with a governor screw. No scan tool, no dealer appointment, ears and a flathead screwdriver. The N14 replaced it in 1987. Early N14 models kept the mechanical PT injection. By 1990, Cummins added the Select electronic control system. By 2002, the N14 was retired entirely because it could not meet tightening EPA nitrogen oxide standards. The engine that replaced the N14, the ISX, introduced exhaust gas recirculation, diesel particulate filters, and diesel exhaust fluid injection. An owner-operator who once opened the hood and understood every moving part now opens the hood and calls a dealer because a sensor code requires a $12,000 diagnostic tool to read. The fifth engine made the ground shake. The Mack E9 V8, 998 cubic inches. The only successful 4-cycle diesel V8 ever designed for American big trucks. 400 to 500 horsepower in highway configuration. A quad-turbo military variant built for the French Army's AMX-30 battle tanks reached 1,000 horsepower. Over 12,500 E9 engines had been built by 1999. The engine powered Mack superliners, pulling triple road trains across the Australian outback. Its low-frequency V8 exhaust pulse vibrated pavement ahead of the truck at distances other engines could not reach. Volvo acquired Mack in 2001. By 2003, the E9 was gone. Volvo replaced it with its own D16. The E9 did not fail an emissions test. It did not break down. It was removed from the product catalog by a corporate parent that decided one engine family was enough. In 2005, a dump truck without an engine brake ran through the intersection at the bottom of Avon Mountain in Connecticut. 6 people died. The parking lot of Jacobs Vehicle Systems, where the Jake brake is manufactured in Bloomfield, Connecticut, shares a fence line with the trucking company that owned the truck. One of the 6 people killed was a Jacobs employee. A device that prevents brake failure on mountain grades. Invented because a man nearly died on a California mountain in 1931. Banned in hundreds of towns. Punishable by fines and jail time. And absent from the truck that killed 6 people 12 miles from the factory where it is built. Every engine on this list was replaced by something quieter. The 671 gave way to the Series 60. The Big Cam gave way to the ISX. The E9 gave way to the D16. Each replacement was more complex, more electronically dependent, and less repairable by the person who owns it. The sound was never just noise. It was evidence that a mechanical system was operating in the open, where a trained ear could diagnose it, a qualified hand could repair it, and no software license was required to keep it alive. 500,000 are still running. The owners know exactly why. Subscribe to American Motor Files. The machines they tried to silence are still out there. We are documenting every one.